Hey everyone, my name is Wedge, and welcome back to another episode in our Guilds of Ravnica pre-release guide series. We've already talked about the Boros Legion and the Golgari Swarm. So if those are guilds you're interested in playing, you can click the links on the screen or in the description. In this video, we'll be covering everything you need to know about the Izzet League. Best seeded packs, playables in blue and red to help you build your deck, play strategy, hidden tech, synergies, and more. Do hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, remember to hit that like button, helps out a lot. The Izzet League is basically what happens when you give a genius child explosives. The entire guild lives to experiment and push the boundaries of science. It would be like if you took the aggression from red and the intelligence of blue and just smushed them together. That's kind of what you get. Crazy, smart, insane scientists who are going aggro on science. That's basically what the Izzet League does. We're talking spell slingers galore. If you enjoy casting spells left and right, drawing cards, dealing damage, legit throwing magic all over the place, the Izzet might be for you. In a lot of ways, this guild is just as aggressive as a low-to-the-ground creature-based guild, but with more lightning. I should put that on a shirt. Mono red aggro, but with more lightning, or mono red aggro with more brains. I'll work on it. Let's talk mechanics. The Izzet League's mechanic is Jumpstart. You may cast cards with Jumpstart from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its other costs, then exile this card. Jumpstart is a mechanic that's designed to help the Izzet spell sling more efficiently. The idea is that you get to cast your best spells from your hand, then when you want to use them again, you ditch something from your hand that you don't need, giving additional value to your best spells and additional value to your garbage that you don't have to use. It serves a purpose now. For instance, drawing cards is powerful, right? One of the strongest moves you can make in a game of Magic. Chemist's Insight lets you draw 2 cards at instant speed, strong effect. Thanks to Jumpstart, you get 4 cards total for the price of 2. The Insight once, then something else you discard. Who knows, you could discard another Jumpstart card for additional value in your graveyard. Point being, this is what the Izzet do. They never stop casting spells, even when they've stopped casting spells. Using Jumpstart, the goal of the Izzet in this pre-release is to throw spells at the enemy so fast and so furious that they can't develop their board fast enough to stop your value creatures from getting through. Like all other guilds, the Izzet League seeded pack comes with an on-guild, mythic, or rare, hopefully. You get 1 out of 8. Let's go over them now. Your first option is probably Rail Izzet Viceroy. Now don't get me wrong, I'm always giddy about opening a Planeswalker, but this one does take some synergy to be good. If you aren't in a spell-based deck, Raw's value is significantly decreased as his best ability is directly dependent on spells in your yard and in exile. In other words, Jumpstart dependent. Of course, the +1 is good all of the time, but if you can't utilize that -3, then 5 mana for that +1 is a bit expensive. Just make sure to have enough spells and Raw will be just fine. Next is Niv Mizzet Perrin. Now this dude is beefy as all heck and you really hope to open him even with his intensive mana costs. He costs that for a reason. In a spell-based deck, Niv Mizzet is a win condition. Being able to deal damage to any target is insane, it's so good. Expansion and Explosion is an interesting split card. Expansion has limited value unless you have some powerful removal spells to pair with it. On the other hand, Explosion is the reverse Sphinx's revelation and only exists for the late game to either end said game or refill your hand a bunch. Either spell you use takes setup, so keep that in mind. Thousand Year Storm is a bit awkward and limited. You are probably running a spell-heavy deck, but mana isn't going to be that plentiful, and it does drop as a 6 mana cost card that does nothing immediately. It might look pretty and sound pretty, but this card is not meant for limited. Next is Firemind's Research, granting you charge counters for casting spells. Another rare that doesn't do anything the second it hits the battlefield. The abilities are powerful, but getting 5 counters in a limited match is actually really difficult even with Jumpstart, so you'll be relying on drawing a card more often than not. Another awkward, clunky enchantment. It does have more playability than the Storm though, that's for sure. Then we have Ionized, just a counter spell that shocks an opponent. Really not meant for limited. Next is Quasi-Duplicate, a clone spell that only targets creatures you control, so basically even with Jumpstart, this card is only as good as the best creature you have on the board at any given moment, which means it can be dead in your hand, and that is just not good. You need something juicy for this copy spell to be good. Don't just play this to play it, especially if you're super low to the ground with good creatures. And finally, we have Risk Factor, the new Browbeat. I enjoy this card a lot, and it makes a good as heck promo. 3 mana for 3 cards or 4 damage, then 3 mana and a discard to do it again? No one wants to take 8 damage, and if you put your opponent in a place where they can't, that is a lot of draw unlimited for a red deck. I could win you games. If you're an Izzet fan, and I hate to say this, you should be a little worried about your promo options. Of the 8 most likely options, the Storm, Research, Ionized, Expansion and Explosion, and Quasi-Duplicate are risk factors for being underwhelming, not to mention Rahl himself. Good thing the entire guild isn't dependent on the promo you get. Let's take a look at the guild playables. The theme of the Izzet League this time around is power, but power means how many instant and sorcery cards you have in your graveyard and an exile to work with. Beacon Bolt is strong as heck, but dependent on the spell count. Crackling Drake is the best Izzet non-rare creature for winning the game, and it needs spells in the bin. Piston Fist Cyclops needs spells cast to attack, and we Dragonauts can pummel in the air, again with some spell slinging. It's a real good thing Jumpstart is all over the friggin' place. Direct Current cast twice and shock something. Hypothesizzle is 2 cards, then you can discard something to fuel your Izzet spells, then you get 4 damage. It's insanity. Maximize Altitude and Maximize Velocity are actually great with the Dragonauts, Beam Splitter Mage, the Cyclops, and they Jumpstart, and they add to the spell count. Gravitic Punch is player hit that adds to the count and has Jumpstart. Sonic Assault lets you get in with your creatures, shocks the opponent, and Jumpstarts. When you look at all of the Izzet cards together, the guild is actually pretty dang strong. Every single card comes with Jumpstart or a way to benefit from Jumpstart. Of all of the guilds we've looked at so far, none of them have been this singularly focused. It's all about casting literally every spell all the time ever. The Izzet spells in the packs and seeded packs won't be enough. We'll need to branch out to some neutral cards. Let's see how much depth there is for us Izzet folk. Disdainful Stroke fuels us and counters something we don't like. Leapfrog is a 3/1 flyer when we spell sling. That's actually pretty nice. Murmuring Mystic creates 1/1 birds whenever we spell sling. Oh dang, that's like Tall Rand budget edition. And Selective Snare can be used on our turn to return blockers, pump our creatures with triggers, then swing in. In red, Book Devourer lets us cycle our hand, potentially filling our yard with Jumpstart spells. Hot dang, that's good. Command the Storm is removal, Electrostatic Field zaps whenever we cast a spell, Fire Urchin has spell slinging, fire breathing, and Smelt Ward Minotaur will help our important creatures get through unharmed. If I take away anything from this, it's that there is more than enough blue and red support to help the Spellsling deck come together. Your seeded pack does not have to do the entire job itself, which brings me to my last topic, splashing. Alright, I don't know about you, but Jumpstart seems like it would be best friends with Surveil. It can't just be me, right? I mean, they both work together so well. Surveil dumps cards into your graveyard, then you just cast them because they'll have Jumpstart. And you don't have to worry about emptying your graveyard because all the spells in exile count towards most of your card's effects. It's perfect, and you only have to splash 1 color. Let's look at blue first though. Already in blue Dimir, we have City Watch Sphinx, Dazzling Lights, Night Veil Sprite, Unexplained Disappearance, and Watcher in the Mist. Now, once black is splashed, which will be super easy thanks to guild gates all over the place, Creeping Chill is ridiculous. Deadly Visit, Mephitic Vapors, and Price of Fame are all absolutely playable and splash-worthy, in addition to a number of powerful rares covered in the blue-black-red color combination. Grixis makes so much sense for the Izzet deck. There's a lot going on in just blue and red, that's true. But adding black is such a small investment for huge payoffs. If you get enough solid black cards that synergize with Jumpstart and with what you have going on in your deck, splash it. Don't be afraid, just do it. Trust me, you won't regret it. This color combination is one of my favorites going into pre-release right now. Jumpstart is going to be underestimated, but you should never underestimate the ability to flash back spells simply by discarding a land. This mechanic is insane, I'm just saying. And with that said, we draw to the end of the Izzet League Guilds of Ravnica pre-release guide. What do you think? Is the Izzet League looking like what you want to play? If you enjoy slinging spells until, you have a nosebleed, this might be the guild for you, absolutely, probably without question, actually. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this guild and the rest of the guilds we've looked at so far. So please leave your thoughts below and we'll talk about it. I do hope this series has been helpful to you so far. And as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. This video is brought to you in part by TCGplayer.com. Guilds of Ravnica booster boxes are pre-ordering right now for $91 each on TCG Player right this second. One of these days, I'm not going to think of something new to say here, and that'll just be the end of me. But until that happens, if you do not have a local game store or yours is charging way too much, just click the link on the screen. It helps the channel, and you'll win a free full set of Pokemon First Edition base set cards. I know, right? All you have to do is click the link, and I will totally send you that. Yep, for free. Totally. Enjoy.
Wow.